All right. This is Level Up at Lunch. I wanted to get in the word. But before I do, let me tell you what we're going to deal with today. I want to talk about house cleaning. We had an inspector come over the other day, and they were doing an appraisal on the home. So my wife was literally going crazy about get the house clean. She wanted the steps, and then I got to my son's bathroom. And I promise you, I walked in and I literally turned around and walked out because it was overwhelming. It was so, it's probably too much information. Yes, dirt is in all of our homes, but he had another level of dirt. And my thing is, the more I cleaned, the more dirt I found. And that sentiment is true of our lives. Sometimes we think that we're making progress. In reality, if we haven't set aside regularly scheduled maintenance just to see what we've collected, you'd be shocked at how much dirt our lives collect over time. And that's why I want to talk about hurt and dirt. Because as you've talked to people before who literally are stuck in the past, they can't get beyond a certain point, or they're trying to make advancements in their career and their marriage and their relationships, and especially our relationships. Man, our past is tied to our present and our future. And if we don't go back and do some cleanup, I promise you it's going to be very difficult to go forward. And so I want to break some bread with you. I was reading uh, John chapter 13. It's a beautiful passage. You're familiar with it. It is the setting of communion, the Lord's the Lord's Supper. The Lord's Supper. Jesus is getting ready to die, and it says he loves his disciples to the end. He knows Simon is getting ready to betray him, so he gets up from the table, takes the robe off, puts a towel around his waist, and he begins washing and drying his disciples' feet. Now, in verse 3, I want you to look at this. In verse 3, it says three things. It says, he knew the Father had given him authority over everything. Everything. Highlight that word. And that he had come from God and would return to God. So before he got down to do the dirty work, he started with himself. And here's what's funny. Peter is about to deny him. And in verse 6, Jesus even obliges Peter. I don't understand how he can do this. He's about to wash the feet of the man who's about to deny him. Jesus came to Peter, and Peter said to him, Lord, are you going to wash my feet? Jesus replied, you don't understand now, but what I'm doing, someday you will. Verse 8 says, no, Peter protested, you will never, ever wash my feet. Jesus replied, unless I wash you, you won't belong to me. I just want to stay right here for a second. This is about dirt. I don't know how much dirt was on Peter's feet. There were 12 sets of feet at the table. All of them was dirty, not only physically, but spiritually. All of these guys were about to injure Jesus, desert him, betray him, separate themselves from him. And he is now at the table preparing a meal. And it just gave me a perspective about how we ought to deal with dirt. Because if we don't sit down and invite our dirt to dinner, have a conversation with it, you know how people hold the past over your head? If we don't look at it with confidence and look at it in the eye, understanding both the danger, but also the blessing in it, what happens is we run from it, and your dirt will eventually catch up with you at the time you can at least afford it. I want to get back to Peter. Peter says, you ain't touching my feet. Isn't that how we react? Like, I don't really feel like going back and dealing with this. I didn't feel like dealing with the dirt in my son's bathroom. We don't, so instead of dealing with it, we'll say stuff like, I'm good, or I'm past that, or I don't really need to deal with that. What did I say? I said to you that this is about maintenance. This is a lifestyle. No one is ever completely clean without God giving them help. And the more you get closer to God, the more dirt he reveals. So here is Peter denying before he denies Jesus, knowing Jesus, he denies Jesus the opportunity to wash his feet, to cleanse him, because he didn't understand what was going on in this setting. This was bigger than the dirt on his feet. Jesus was helping him to understand the dirt in his life, the dirt in his heart, and how if Jesus didn't clean him, he'd never be clean. He wouldn't belong to him. The word belong is the word meros. That's a Greek word that literally means to have a part in. If we don't let God deal with our dirt, we'll go through life feeling like it's all on us. So although we know God is real, although we say we believe in God, we'll handle our difficult circumstances, our pain, our hurt, our mess ups, our mistakes. We'll handle it as if it's all on us. That's dangerous, because based on what Jesus is saying, he says right here, you won't belong to me. He's saying to Peter, Peter, I have a part in helping you get clean. It ain't all on you. Part of it's on me. Like, you got your part, and what's our part? You see what Peter did? Our part is it's just to give him our dirt. Our part is to place our dirt in his hands. Okay. I don't even want to stay here long. I just wanted to encourage someone that's watching right now who's trying to make themselves clean or make themselves better, or going into this year saying, you know, I have these ambitions, that think they can get far without letting Jesus do some house cleaning. How do we do this? I want to give you one thing that Jesus did that we can practice. Remember, I said that this is communion. Communion is set up in a way that's pretty extraordinary, because before you take communion, we're challenged to examine ourselves. So check out this scene. All these guys at the table are dirty. Jesus, in the communion setting, is getting ready. He's thanking God for the sacrifice he's about to make, and then he washes their feet. And so here is one of the things that we can do to work on getting clean. Thank God or praise God for your past and your pain. Why? Because if you don't learn to appreciate the dirt in your life, there's a part of your life that you'll reject. See, part of this meal, or the setting of this meal, was love. And part of the reason our dirt gets held over our head and it's hard for us to move forward is because we struggle seeing the value in our pain. Jesus saw the value in advance, and he thanked God for it, because he wasn't just looking at the dirt that was at the table. He could see ultimately how things would play out. And sometimes you got to have a vision for your future. You got to have a vision, not just for your mess, but if it had not been for the Lord being with you in difficult moments, you wouldn't be where you are today. So if you reject the dirt, the hurt, at the same time, you reject the work. I'm going to say it again. If you reject the hurt and the dirt, you also reject the work. Why? Because most of us wouldn't have came to Jesus without dirt. Like, it's because I couldn't get clean that caused me to depend on him. The problem is we come to him, think we got clean once, and then we go back to trying to do life on our own. No, this is a lifestyle. This meal was about love. And Jesus thanked God or praised God, celebrated the fact that even though these guys are going to do me wrong, I don't just see where they are, I see who they can be. After I clean you up, you ain't got to worry about it. I've already factored in the dirt you're going to do to me, and I'm inviting you to dinner. And so I want to rewind. Again, this was about love. This was a communion setting. Jesus thanks God for the sacrifice he's about to make and creates an environment where he can look the people who are about to do him dirty right in his eye. Man, if we could learn to just do that, do you know how free we would be? How liberating it is to not have to run from our secrets, run from our past. That here's the thing, and if we don't deal with it, dirt rubs off. A lot of times we pass this stuff on into our kids and our marriages. Do you know how many marriages struggle? How many relationships have failed because of past dirt, because of stuff that we just felt like we didn't want to deal with? If you don't deal with it, it doesn't disappear. It just repackages itself at a time and in a manner that you can ill afford. And so I just wanted to encourage you today. Take some time, slow down. This is what Jesus said about communion. He says, do this in remembrance of me. Slow down, take a minute, inspect your life, examine it, stop saying you're good, and ask God, says, check me out. See if there's something in me that ain't right. And then thank God in advance for how he's using your pain, your hurt, your dirt to prepare you for something extraordinary. Well, that's our time for today. I hope this was helpful. Go back and check out John chapter 13. It's an incredible story, incredible setting. God bless, and I'll see you next week.